Hello and welcome to another edition of VHyesterdayS, the video series where I talk about some of the old VHS tapes that I have in my collection. And today we're talking about one of my favorites, and probably one of the oldest that I own, I think. This is Child's Play. This movie was released in 1988, and the VHS tape actually came out the year later, in 1989. So this is the original copy of the film. I think they did another release of it, like at MGM Movie Time. That they did another series where they re-released a lot of their older catalogs. I guess it would have been probably like the late 90s. It would have been just before DVD, I think. Mid to late 90s. And so there was basically this release, and then eventually they did release it on MGM Movie Time. And then since it's a DVD, it's had special editions and Blu-ray releases and all sorts of stuff like that. So, but for a long time, this was probably the only tape you could get your hands on. A little bit of background, I guess, into MGM. It's an MGM UA release. MGM started doing video releases in the early 70s, I think, when VHS would have been in its infancy. It would have been developed in the 60s or so. And maybe I should do a video sometime about VHS and Betamax and all that stuff. I'm not going to talk too much about it right here, but they got into it pretty quickly. I think in '82 they switched over. They made like a partnership with CBS, and they had MGM CBS, and that ran for a few years. And then I think from probably '85 right up till '98, I think, right in the DVD era, they made a partnership with United Artists, and they were MGM UA releases for their home video stuff. This tape would have retailed at the time when it came out would have been $89.95. So people always talk about how VHS tapes, when they first came out, they were very expensive. And typically it was rental stores that were buying them up, and not most people weren't buying them for their homes because they were so expensive, or you'd get like maybe one a year or something like that, and it would have to be a very special release. For the most part, these things were going to rental stores. And this is a rental copy. This is an X-rental. You can see on the bottom, please rewind tape. But it's in remarkable condition considering its age. I watched it again, to prepare for this video, and it looked really good. I actually watched it on a 720p monitor. I thought my VCR actually output and component, but it turns out it's just the DVD portion of it, so it was just through composite connection. But it looked remarkably good. Usually I would watch it on my old TV, but I just wasn't in the mood that night. Felt like watching it in bed. But yeah, it's actually it's a high quality VHS. Of course, it would have been a rental copy, something that needed to be played and rewound over and over again. And of course, with the price tag of $89.95. It had to be a pretty good tape. I think with inflation, if you were to consider inflation, and it was $89.95 USD, and again in 1989, it would be like $160 for this tape. Isn't that crazy? Crazy to think about, considering how cheap it is to go out and buy movies these days for home video and stuff like that. But when these things first hit, they were definitely not cheap, and VCRs were even they were crazy expensive. I actually probably had a VCR. My parents would have had a VCR around '89, but of course I wasn't watching this movie. I was far too young to watch this movie at the time. But again, we would have been renting all our tapes because you just definitely wouldn't be buying them. There was a screener copy, so there is another. So like I said, there's this release, there's the MGM Movie Time release, and then there is a screener that floats around. I think it goes on eBay and stuff like that. Which it's basically the same as this. I don't know what the cover looks like or anything like that, or even if it has a cover. I've seen screeners before. I actually do own one screener for a different film, and they look pretty much the same, except it has something like a banner on the top that says that it's a screener meant for promotion, basically, to get rental stores to pick up the tapes. But I don't know what the Child's Play one looks like. But the screener, basically, all that's different is that there's like an ad on the tape to convince the rental store owners to buy as many copies as you can get of Child's Play, because that's the best thing since sliced bread. And it's actually playing in the background right now. And it's pretty hysterical. I don't know who the voice actor is on Chucky. Of course, it's not Brad Dourif. But it's some pretty stale stuff. But it just goes through how well the film did at the time. It made $28 million. It had a $9 million budget. I think it ended up $44 million or so, or something like that in the end. So it did really, really well. And it's like move over Jason and Freddy and all that stuff, and pick up this tape, and it has a bit of the teaser trailers in there, and it talks about like posters and standees and stuff like that. It's pretty nifty to watch. It's not in great quality. I can only find one source of it on the internet. Like I said, it's over my shoulder here. I'll have a link for it in the description notes for this video. But it's pretty neat to check out. Like I said, as far as the tape, color, decent quality considering this thing's been played so many times. I would have loved to have seen like a fresher copy of it. It would have been rated R, of course. In Canada it was 18. We had a different classification system than the United States at the time. It does have a teaser trailer on it, which you can check out. Again, the link will be in the description notes for this video. I have to link them off to a DailyMotion account because I'm worried about copyright infringement and all that stuff. But it's a really cool little teaser for James Bond's. I'm blanking right now. This is a great time to blank. License to Kill. License to Kill. My bad. But it's pretty cool little. It's funny. Like people talk about it being the revenge film of the Bonds. And if you watch that teaser, they definitely prop it up as like an action revenge film, and not so much a Bond movie. So it's kind of neat. So you should definitely check that out. I ripped it off the tape and I posted that over on a DailyMotion account. Yeah, it's a great little tape. Like I said, I kind of have I think I have it on DVD, so I probably wouldn't go out of my way to get the movie time release. But I would almost like to see a fresher copy of this one because it is such a high quality tape and it looked great. But I wouldn't go out of my way to do that. If you're looking to watch this movie today, not on VHS, you can pretty much stream it on everything, I would imagine. It's probably on TV during Halloween. Any way you could watch it, I'm sure you can check out Child's Play. It's pretty much a classic. Everyone talks about it. Chucky is right up there with, Freddy and Jason and all that. So you should definitely check it out, especially around the spooky Halloween time that's coming up. And if you can get your hands on this tape, it's good tape. You'd probably pick it up for cheap. Don't pick these tapes up on like eBay or any of those sites. People get these tapes and they act like they're worth their weight in gold. This thing probably sold like hotcakes. It would have been in every rental store in North America. Probably several copies. You could probably find this thing at a yard sale for 50 cents tops. So I don't remember how much I got mine for. Again, it was an ex-rental. I probably walked into an old rental store that was getting rid of their tapes and picked it up for nothing. And it's pretty beat up, but it does the trick for me. So that's Child's Play. I hope you enjoyed this video. And there are some more VHyesterday's coming. I've picked up a couple of tapes recently that I'm definitely excited to talk about. And with Halloween coming up, I couldn't help but dig out some of the horror films that are in that box. So you can expect more of these in the near bit. And other than that, cheers. You are too loud. Well, you're out of focus, but you're also too loud.